What is up, COD peeps? I hold shift. I know I say COD peeps and I'm sitting here wearing Overwatch stuff like crazy. You got to give me a break. It's laundry day. I didn't even really take a shower today. It was just all Call of Duty watching. I lied. I took a shower, but this is what you get. All right, you're just gonna have to deal with it, learn to love it. We've got a lot of stuff to go over. If you're just new to the channel, I do these recaps every single day of these major events. So if you want to get more information, you want to sit down with your morning coffee before games start up, this is the place to go. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and you'll get those notifications if you ring the bell of when our videos come live. But I don't want to plug myself too much. Let's plug what happened today, because things were nutty, girl. Oh, girl. Ooh, girl. So as you took a look at it, again, 4 pools, 7 teams, 28 of them, 12 of them looking to finish off into the Pro League. Top 2 from each pool, this is what we're immediately focused on, will be automatically qualified. So as we take a look at the pools, again, you look over to all 4 of them as they stand, and goodness, what a absolutely display. Pool A had the likes of Team Sween and Reciprocity. There was a lot of talk about Enigma 6, of course, both FaZe clans, Project 18 is Teddy Rex's squad. Pool B, again, more European power as you have both the Lightning Pandas and the Heretics, but of course the big controversy was who would pull out in the North American scene, Team Envy or G2. The rest were just kind of there at the beginning of the day. And then Pool C was another interesting one because 100 Thieves hadn't been playing well. Team Spacely coming off a very high win from Vegas, or at least a high placement from Vegas. And then Pittsburgh Knight had a lot of changes going on. And Midnight Esports had a bunch of different flop ups, and people were kind of keeping an eye on what they could potentially do. And then Pool D, as you see it, of course, Evil Geniuses and Red Reserve. This pool was wide open in my book. Evil Geniuses had a strong Friday at Vegas. Red Reserve didn't play well really at all at Vegas. And then EG fell off as they got into the champs bracket. And then you have the likes of Mindfreak, who have wild changes to their roster. UYU, which is this up-and-coming semi-pro team that was like, whoa, what are they going to do? And then just a bunch of nonsense below that. So this was kind of a wide-open pool. Let's go ahead and dig into things that happened, though, after our first day. I just want to let you know what the standings are. We'll talk more about these as they go. So that's how they came in. This is what they look like now. You have the likes of Reciprocity and Enigma 6 up top in Pool A. Not really super surprising. The big one is Team Sween, a little bit lower down. We'll talk about them later. Pool B, what the hell happened here? Fact Revolution is 2-0. We'll talk about them and why they might be. And Heretics as well, 2-0. The North Americans of Team Envy only played 1 game. That was against G2, and you can see where they stand. And then Lightning Pandas, again, with a little bit of a surprising loss. Again, we'll talk more about how they fared later. Pool C, again, a little bit of a surprise. Midnight Esports up top at an impressive 2-0 with a scoreline to tote with that. Pittsburgh Knights only played 1 game. It was an easy 3-0 stomp for them. Overtime Esport, the French Phenoms. They're in 3rd place overall in that pool, and Team Spacely has not won a game yet. What the hell is going on? Let's talk about Pool D very quickly. Mindfreak at a 2-0 scoreline. Movie Star Riders at a 2-0 scoreline. It's just all over the place. So let's go ahead and dig into it a little bit more personally with Pool A. As I mentioned, Reciprocity, Enigma 6, they would only play 1 game each here in Pool A. They would win both of them at a 3-0 and a 3-1 scoreline. And we'll look at Enigma 6 first and foremost, as you have General, Diabolic, Kismet, Cade, and Frosty. And this team has improved a lot over the last month. Really, since Vegas, they have improved a lot. After that loss to Accelerate in the Vegas Open, they've been all fuel, all gas. The CMG Pro Downs have looked good. My confidence in them qualifying when we did their predictions were 45%. They would beat FaZe Clan 3-1, and it was a convincing 3-1. I don't even know what to tell you guys about it. It was insane. 250 to 198 on the hard point, 6-2 on the search and destroy. They would lose the control, but honestly, Enigma 6 kind of threw it. It should have been a 3-0. And then they again won the next hard point on gridlock, 250 to 169. This was a flat out stomp from Enigma 6. You love to see it. And as you look at their record as they move through, their big tests are up front, really, as Reciprocity showed up really strong, as they had a really impressive game early on in the day against Team Sween. That Team Sween game we'll talk about in just a moment, but that was what it was, and now they play up against Reciprocity in their only game for day 2. I'm excited to see Enigma 6 come in prepared for Reciprocity. They have a pretty easy day 3, and then they just have to worry about Team Sween at the end. This could very well be a top 2 team. Don't sleep on them. So as you take a look back, again, Enigma 6 looking strong, Reciprocity looking strong, but the one team that's not looking so hot, at least at the start, was Team Sween. Quicker, Weeman, Nolson, Dylan, and Brain, they would start the day off, as you would anticipate, versus Divine very nicely at a very easy 3-0 scoreline. The game versus Reciprocity was a game that was on stream, and it was a heartbreaking hard point if you were a Team Sween fan, as it again was Seaside, and we saw Seaside things. Reciprocity was down, they capture the side tomb hard point, push through, capture the fountain hard point, they make a pretty big swing, and they end up winning the hard point 250 to 241. And it just felt like after that, Team Sween was just deflated. You always will hear the casters talk about a close loss in a comeback fashion like that always hurts your morale. If you get blown out, you can shake it off, say we just were not prepared for it, forget about it, let's dump in. But when you lose on a comeback Seaside hardpoint like that, it sticks with you. Tommy popped off on the Search and Destroy. Oh my goodness, did he ever play? He was absolutely a nutbag. And then on Control, Seaside again, it was a 3-0. Reciprocity looking really strong. And Team Sween, not in a heap of trouble, but with the rest of that pool looking strong with Enigma 6 moving through, and FaZe Clan is obviously still a contender. If you're Team Sween, you have to blow out FaZe Clan Black, you have to blow out Project 18, and then you have to do well against Enigma 6 or FaZe Clan, depending on how their weeks go. We'll keep up with that storyline as it goes back. So let's head back and take a look one more time. Again, right in the middle, things are very, very close. +1 and the 1-1 for FaZe Clan, -1 for the 1-1 of FaZe Black. So those teams very close to one another. Anything can happen in those middle three, let alone the fact that both the teams up top have only won one game so far. So anything can happen. Back to our pools. Pool B. This is where things, again, get very interesting, because what in God's name is Fact Revolution doing up top, which is what I'm sure just about everybody is wondering about. I couldn't tell you, to be completely honest, what they're doing up there. I wish I could give you some kind of a notion of why and what and who, but as you see it, Fact Revolution 2-0 with a +6 scoreline. Heretics 2-0 with a +5 scoreline. And then again, in the middle, things very close between Team Envy, G2, and Lightning Pandas. Let's start things off by talking about the team up top. Fact Revolution, Cammy, Chain, Defrag, Maple, Sunny B. Our confidence level of this team qualifying was at 15%. Here's the thing. Let's not get too excited about Fact Revolution. They played up against two very bad teams. Tainted Minds does not look good at all. The new changes, not going well for them whatsoever. Losing Swifty was not great, and then their pickup not doing so hot. Giants, kind of the same story. The third kind of tier, I will call them, Spanish squad, not really doing all that well as far as how they look today. So as you look at their schedule, you have to look at the next 4 games as being, you got to win 3 of them probably if you want to stay in the top 2 for Fact Revolution, and I just don't see them doing that. Now, anything can happen. We didn't get a chance to see them on stream, but again, I just don't see it going that way. So that 2-0 with the +6, good for them for being +6, by the way, because if those teams, those scorelines are a little bit closer, that could be the difference in a couple of placings when it comes to potential tiebreakers, which is what the first tiebreaker would be, is map differential. Over to Heretics, though. Things looked good for Heretics off the start, and I gotta say, I'm excited about this team personally. We had their qualifying chance up to 55%, and they came out swinging against Lightning Pandas. Oh my goodness, it was the first stream over on the Bravo stream if you missed it. A 250 to 194 on the hard point, a 6-2 on the payload favoring Lightning Pandas, and then it was Control, a 3-2 game, and then the hard point, a 250 to 244. It was a very exciting match for Heretics. It was a lot of fun to watch. Lightning Pandas, they still look good. They threw away a couple opportunities with streaks and with specialists, but generally they look good. As you take a look at Heretics and the road forward, Envy is a big game. The one tomorrow is going to be a big one for them. If they can find a way to win it, they are definitely in contention for the top 2, if not almost solidifying at that point a top 2 slot, depending on what Fact Revolution does. Then later on that week, they should have no problem with Tainted Minds. I really don't see them having a problem with Fact, and then they play up against G2, which will be a nice little kind of proving point for them at the end of things. But again, you look in the middle as we flip on back. Envy, G2, and Pandas, all really close to each other. Panda's only played the one game, so you figured they're going to bounce back and they're going to have a chance to really kind of shine over the next day 2. I think they have 2 games tomorrow, so it's going to be a big opportunity for them to move forward. Let's jump back, take a look at where we're sitting with all the different pools, and we'll head over to Pool C here in a second. And again, this was, I think, probably what I would have said was the most solid as far as who the top 2 are going to be. In my eyes, I had Spacely and Pittsburgh Knights pretty much stamped, ready to go when it came to the Pro League qualifier for finishing in the top 2. Obviously, things are very different with Midnight Esports coming out stronger than I anticipated, but still strong as I hoped they would. But the big surprise here was what in God's name is going on with Overtime Esport. We'll talk more about them through other realms of different teams. We don't have anything specific for them, but Midnight Esports, again, this team had a lot of flops and switch ups as Demise and Skiliosis were there with the qualifying run in Vegas. Again, that qualifying run ended with a champs bracket loss to the Heretics in the first round. That was when they were Team Revenge. They drop off, kind of trim the fat, and they bring in Envoy and Lamagod. And goodness, Envoy is an actual legend, dude. He is insane. He played out of his mind today. He gave Kenny a run around. He gave Enable the run around. He asserted dominance in the 100 Days matchup on the SMG front so hard. And then we have to talk about the matchup versus Accelerate, because they were down 0-2, and I had personally bet on this game and was really rooting for Midnight to pull this one out, and they ended up coming back with a full sweep, reverse sweep comeback. It was nuts. It was an absolutely insane game to watch. It was 250 to 142 on the first hardpoint and 6-4, and it just felt like Accelerate was playing at a different level of speed than Midnight wanted to initially. The control came back. It was a 3-1, and then it was a 250 to 80 on the hard point, finished with a 6-3. So Midnight really came into their stride once they started to figure out how fastball his team wanted to play. But goodness, for a minute there, it was nuts. And Accelerate did have a good day. They would end 1-1 even across the board after a very tight game versus Overtime. But let's talk about Overtime through the lens of what was at one point Straight Rip and now just Team Spacely. This was the team with a lot of expectations. Top 8. They kind of had an untimely finish in the champs bracket. I think they could have gone a little bit further, but it's just 2 places regardless. They came out with an 0-3 loss to the French Phenoms of Overtime. And goodness, you hate to see that.
First thing I do is I say, would you look at this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everyone and everywhere was saying that Overtime was by far going to be the bottom team at this regional. There's no reason that they shouldn't think otherwise too, because Overtime is a squad that didn't even make it to the open bracket and didn't look good during their time in the open bracket, to be frank. They came out looking hot. Absolutely smoked Spacely's team off stream, and then the big matchup was that versus 100 Thieves, who again, 100 Thieves had lost at an 0-3 scoreline. So you have to think at this point, whoever loses that game was going to be in a really bad spot. 100 Thieves would pull it out in very narrow fashion at the very end. They would win the 6-5 round 11 after a 5-1 comeback on Team Spacely in the Search and Destroy. It shouldn't have happened, but it did, and 100 Thieves would come out victorious. And now as you take a look at Team Spacely, the next 4 games are must-wins. You can't lose a game. You have to beat the Pittsburgh Knights, you have to beat Accelerate, and you have to beat Midnight. All 3 of those teams have shown that they can put the pressure on 100 Thieves in Overtime. Their first 2 losses, one we don't have expectations for, and the other was bad. 100 Thieves looked like crap, flat out. I hate to tell you that and I hate to be like that, but they were bad. They didn't look good. So for Team Spacely, the storyline here, you have to win every single game as you look at the rest of Pool D. Mazer Gaming is a walk away. I mean, that team's not good at all. So that shouldn't be a problem. They have to come out and hit somebody in the face, though. And it could shake this pool up a lot. It absolutely could. And as you look back over to our big pool spread, you'll go over and we'll check out Pool D here in a second. And this pool, again, was just a throw-up bracket, I think. It just could have came down to whoever showed up. I wasn't confident in Evil Geniuses. I wasn't confident in Red Reserve based off how they played at LAN. Some of you commented saying that you thought I was stupid for thinking Evil Geniuses was not good because of their performances just solely off of the pro downs. But I'll tell you, I know what I'm watching, and their rotations are slow. They're not looking like they're playing at the same speed that they were at on the Friday of Vegas. You know who did come out ready to play without expectations was Mind Freak. This team came out so hot. Buzzo moving to coach apparently is working. Not having Excite on the roster was kind of a huge question mark, especially considering that Beaston was an ad. Swifty was a late ad after Vegas. We weren't sure what to expect from this team, and they showed up against EG. It wasn't a clean win by any stretch of the imagination, but the thing about it was Mindfreak punished Evil Geniuses for their mistakes and then turned the tide in their favor. They used all of their abilities well for the most part. It wasn't clean Call of Duty by any stretch of the imagination, but it started with a 100-point comeback. Again, on Hardpoint, on Seaside, they were down 100 at one point. It started off like 94-0, and Mindfreak would come back and win it 250-240. They would stomp the Search and Destroy, and then they would kind of get beat up a little bit. A 3-1 on the control for EG, and then a 250-53 on frequency Hardpoint for EG. And then Luca, this guy is someone to watch out for the S&D stars, because he absolutely turned up on the last Search and Destroy. He almost dropped, I think, 21. I don't know. It was crazy. He was like 16-4 in like round 5 of the game in total. It was crazy. That was a lie. It wasn't round 5. It was like their 5th, like on their 5th win, he was at like 16 kills. I don't know. Don't quote me. But it was insane to watch this team go. And of course, then they beat Nation of Power. So as you look at Mindfreak, do they have the potential to qualify out of pools? Imperial's beatable. Movie Star Riders had a day today, which we'll talk about in a minute. Red Reserve is beatable. And UIU was 100% beatable. So this very well could be a flawless bracket for Mindfreak as you take a look back at what the pools have to look like. Nation of Power shouldn't be a problem for anybody. Red Reserve not showing up again. Evil Geniuses look good, but it kind of feels like Vicento's carrying them, to be completely honest with you. And as you look at Movie Star Riders, this is interesting because Palooka leaves, Catcheru gets added, and to be honest, again, yes, Movie Star Riders are 2-0, but here's who they beat. Imperial, a team they've beat before, a team they should beat, they do, barely. Nation of Power, a team that they should beat, they do, barely. So, will this Movie Star Riders team be able to come in prepared for probably their 2 hardest tests here? All of it happens tomorrow. EG first, Mindfreak second. You lose those 2, and all of a sudden this pool becomes absolutely open for the taking. UIU, again, a good team. Can't sleep on them. Red Reserve, they've had late surges in lands previously. You hope if you're a Red Reserve fan, or just a Call of Duty fan in general, that they do have a showing, because you would hate to see those dudes move from Europe to Vegas and then not get in the qualifier. That would feel real bad. But that's what I got. This has been a long video, I think. Let me take a look. No, it's been about average video. I'm gonna get out of your hair though. We'll be doing more of the predictions and recaps and stuff like that throughout the entire week. Every single day, I'm giving you guys this kind of content. So make sure if you enjoy it, again, you at least like it, leave me a comment. Who do you think is gonna walk away now? Who's been the biggest surprise in your mind? Leave a comment down below. While you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Of course, you can find me on Twitter as well to talk about more COD. It's been fun. It's been real. You've been you. I've been me. Until next time, hope you keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.